Okay, I have wanted to make this video for almost 10 years, and now I finally can. Welcome or welcome back to The Architectress. I'm Natalia, and on this channel we talk about all things cloud. Quick disclaimer, I do work for AWS right now, but this is my personal channel where I get to have some fun, make some sarcastic comments, and occasionally also become slightly unwell about cloud bills on camera. I've spent a big part of my cloud career working with things related to AWS billing, cost management, and cost optimization. So today I'm going to rank almost 30 AWS cost optimization techniques, from superior savings to please stop doing this to your invoice. Before we start, I wanted to explain a little bit how exactly I will be ranking these techniques. This rating will not be based on vibes or just based on which of those techniques are my favorite. I'm using two criteria. First, how easy they are to implement. That means that do you actually have the skills or skill set in your organization, the right tooling and the right processes and the right support from your leadership to implement those techniques. And second would be about potential estimated savings. The goal is really to understand how much savings realistically over time the technique can help you achieve and how much return on investment it can offer you. So if something is relatively easy to implement and offers you a lot of potential estimated savings, it goes to the top of the list. And if it's not that easy to implement and it saves just a tiny bit, that will go to the bottom of the list. And if it sounds smart but nobody can actually operationalize it, well, it goes to the bottom in the financially forbidden danger zone where it belongs. Now, I'm using Tier Maker for this video, and at first I wanted maybe to give you a little bit of explanation of my tiers. S tier means super savings. These are sort of the ones that give you real impact without making your life miserable. Then goes A tier, I call it architect approved. The techniques in this tier can be strong, useful, dependable. They may be a little bit annoying, but still quite excellent. Then we have B tier, beneficial, or I call it budget friendly. Those are still good techniques. They are useful in the right environment, but not always your first move. Then we have C tier, conditional. Yeah, this is where we get to conditionality. This can absolutely help, but only when stars, people, and processes align. And lastly, we have D tier. I call it dangerous. This is where things sound really good in presentation, but become a nightmare in reality. In short, S tier is what saves you money and makes me slightly less angry. And D tier is an excellent way to produce a large invoice and a management conversation. Okay, let's get to it. Yeah, I'm a bit excited, but also a bit nervous. Let's see how it goes. I don't want this video to be too long, so I will not be going too much into details about every technique. I will just share some short notes with some explanation why I put certain techniques in certain tiers. Okay, we start from right sizing. That would be a classic A tier. It's very common, very strong savings if you do it right. The reason it doesn't really fit into S tier, in my opinion, is that people really get overly emotionally attached to their oversized instances. Okay, next we have auto-scaling. I would say that is an A tier. Let the demand dictate the capacity. The magic here is that it will scale down when it's quiet. It will basically save you money automatically. Okay, next we have spot instances. I would say that would be, it depends. I'd put it in the B tier. It really can give you massive savings for fault-tolerant workloads. It's good for batch jobs, CI/CD, analytics, but it's not very good for anything that will give you a heart attack when it's interrupted. Pro tip here is that you need to learn how to handle interruptions. When you do that, spot instances can be easily moved to super savings, to the S tier. Okay, next we have graviton adoption. Okay, it depends, but I will put it in the A tier. That's quite a smart move because, you know, it's ARM-based instances, it's much better price-performance ratio, they are much more sustainable. It also works because effectively you have the same workload, but you spend less money, and it's more efficient and it's more sustainable. I wouldn't put it in the S tier just because some legacy applications, will throw tantrums when you try to test and migrate it, or sometimes you can't migrate it, sometimes it's too complicated. Anyway, we will put it in the architect approved tier. Ooh, tagging resources, my favorite. I have a lot of interesting stories about tagging and why it sometimes doesn't work. I'll have to put it into C tier. Technically, tagging should be foundational. Practically, it's often ignored. It actually is very important, but is tagging transformational on its own? Not really, not by itself. It only becomes powerful when organizations actually use tags for reporting and governance, and when they actually do it and implement it right. Okay, next, scheduling. Oh, okay. No, that one definitely goes into S tier. That can give you tons of savings in a relatively easily implementable way. I'd say this is like one of the cleanest wins because you can save money simply by not paying for environments that you don't need. The catch here is like that you need to get the teams to actually respect those schedules, which is kind of harder than the technology. Technology is simple, people are not that simple. But overall, yeah, scheduling dev test environments will definitely get you ahead quite a bit. Right, next one, cost monitoring. Well, cost monitor is not exactly a cost optimization technique. However, on its own, I will put it in S tier for sure, because you cannot optimize what you cannot see. You need to set up budgets, alerts, and dashboards that are actually getting looked at. Most teams discover cost monitoring right after the invoice arrives, or when they get like a bill spike and they start panicking. So no, do it before that happens. That is your biggest tip or secret for success in this case. Storage lifecycle policies. Oh, okay, yeah, that will go to S tier as well. That's golden. Anything, not just storage as in like S3 buckets or objects, but old logs, snapshots, backups that nobody remembers. Just set policies to move them to the cheaper storage tier, or archive them, or just delete them, get rid of them when you don't need them. Then we have managed services. I would put it into C tier. It can be cheaper, but it can be not very easy to implement in practice because you need to do like a total cost of ownership calculation to understand how long it will take you to migrate from, let's say, database that you run on EC2 to like RDS. It's not exactly like a one-click button situation. Okay, savings plans. Yes, it is my favorite, but realistically, I have to put it here in the architect approved. It's a commitment game. It's for predictable workloads. Yes, you can achieve quite a lot of savings, compared to on-demand pricing. But, there is a catch. Just knowing as much as I know about savings plans, you need to understand how those discounts work. You need to have some forecasting and planning. If you don't do it right, your finance team might need some therapy. Okay, reserved instances. I'd probably put it in architect approved. However, because reserved instances are less flexible than savings plans, I'll have to put it in the beneficial tier, into a B tier. It's kind of similar to savings plans, as in you need to plan for like stable workloads for a period of time. If your workloads are like super spiky, yeah, reserved instances are not a good option. But yeah, just because savings plans are more flexible, then yeah, I will put it like one tier higher. Modernize. Oh, okay, that's interesting. That has to be S tier. Okay, arguably, it's not always easy, it's not simple. I understand that you need to spend time and resources to modernize. However, this one will give you the highest savings and the better return on investment over time. Re-architecting. You would think that it might go to S tier, however, I will put it into the A tier because when done strategically and when done right, it's very good. Sometimes you need to rebuild for efficiency, however, it's not such a simple exercise, and it can take much longer than like modernization, because modernization you can go like step by step. Modernization, it also means like, for example, you can go from older generation instances to like newer generation instances or other types of resources, but yeah, complete re-architecting is a bit more complicated. However, in the long run, obviously it will save you much more money, so yeah, we'll just put it in the architect approved. multi-cloud. Who put it there? I mean, some people do use multi-cloud as a cost optimization technique. I mean, it kind of sounds impressive, but if your motivation is just cost savings alone, you're just adding complexity faster than you're saving money. Honestly, it just goes to a dangerous D tier. No, that's not a cost optimization technique. Anomaly detection. It will be somewhere in the middle, in the B tier. Yes, it can catch unexpected spend spikes. I wouldn't put it higher because it's more like reactive, it's not preventative. It's good to know that you're bleeding money, but it's better to stop the bleeding first. Reducing waste, cleaning up resources, getting rid of idle, unutilized resources. Yeah, let's put it in the B tier as well. Like, it's good for housekeeping. Things like idle NAT gateways, unused elastic IP addresses, ghost load balancers. It's a good impact. However, it can often turn into this kind of monthly cleanup ritual, depending how you implement it. If you automate it to an extent, yeah, it can go higher to architect approved. Setting up budgets. I'll put it into B tier as well because, budgets don't necessarily save you money per se. They can just embarrass you when you exceed the budget. I mean, it's kind of good because it forces the conversation. So yeah, that's good for the conversation, for the meetings, and for some future planning. Negotiating discounts. That's a D tier distraction. Yes, you can negotiate discounts, private pricing, kind of enterprise agreements and things like that. But discounts on waste means that it's just you will have slightly less waste. You'll still have the waste, but you will pay less for it. So, fix your waste first and negotiate your discounts afterwards. Deal with costs later. I mean, yeah, I hear it a lot. I'm sorry, it goes into D tier. It's not even just dangerous, it's more like financially forbidden. This just creates this kind of organizational traditions of expensive habits. You say, okay, we will deal with it later, but that later never comes. Your bills actually arrive monthly, and your later never happens. This is a very efficient way to lose your budget. Containerize it. Yeah, look, I'll put it into C tier. Containerizing it doesn't mean that it will achieve cost savings for you. In reality, managing AKS can cost more than having it run on EC2 instances if you don't optimize it. Don't containerize your problems, solve them first. Understanding your traffic. Oh, okay, you know what? That is S tier, 100%. Data transfer optimization techniques. That is very important. If you understand your traffic patterns, if you understand who is sending which data where and how and when, you will be able to make the right decisions regarding optimization for that traffic. Managing data retention. Yeah, that will go to S tier as well. You need to set your retention policies. You need to delete what you don't need legally. That is just like a quick win. Go find those 5 years old logs that you don't need and just delete them right now. Just stop paying for what you don't need. Shift left. Oh, that is definitely S tier wisdom. Include cost estimates into the code reviews. Encourage developers think about the resource usage quite early, and what is the best way to choose the right resources and the right services early in the kind of design stages. And why it beats everything, actually, it kind of prevents problems instead of worrying about cleaning up after deployment disasters happen. Hiring a FinOps person. Well, I mean, it sounds great in practice. A lot of organizations, they have whole FinOps departments, but, I'll put it into C tier just because one person cannot fix broken culture. In reality, what often happens is that FinOps person becomes like a professional complainer. Just, make sure that everyone is, at least to a certain extent, FinOps aware. Go serverless. Not everything has to be serverless. I'll put it into C tier. I think that, serverless can be great for sporadic workloads. It can be quite expensive for steady workloads. Lambda cold starts don't matter, Lambda bills do. Just test your workload and test the pricing first. Testing your backups, you might think, what does it have to do with cost optimization? Well, it's like a survival skill, so I'll put it in the architect approved tier. Backups don't really work until you test them and until you know that they work. It can be a very expensive lesson, where untested RPO of 1 hour might become your RPO of 1 week, actually. And consider how much that outage might cost you. Use cloud less. I don't know, honestly, who's creating this list? Yeah, I'll put it in the D tier. You can put it as a sticker on your bumper. Don't use this as a technique. I'd say the better question would be, are you using the cloud correctly? Just think about it this way. You need to use less waste, not less cloud. And fancy dashboards. Everyone loves dashboards. I don't know. It's kind of a C tier anxiety. I'd put it here. I love a good dashboard, but a beautiful dashboard that nobody acts on is just an expensive decoration. The problem is that those dashboards often become full-time jobs, and sometimes simple alerts, they are much better than complex visualization. Okay, so we are done. One thing I would like to do also, I would like to rank these techniques within each tier, So like, for example, when I'm looking at all of the techniques here at the bottom, which one will be at the end, which one will be in the front? I will kind of scroll through the video very quickly. While I'm doing that, we will have this like ultimate list of cost optimization techniques from top to bottom, from the best to the worst. So that is my tier list of AWS cost optimization techniques. The biggest lesson here is the best techniques are the ones that are actually implemented, not the ones that sound impressive in a meeting. Start with most obvious wins and then move into the bigger challenges. The real difference maker is not the tools or the technology, it's organizational will. Technology is quite simple, I'd say. People are complicated. I will link the template to this tier list in the pinned comment below, so you can build your own version, you can post it on LinkedIn, and you can tag me. Or just leave a comment here in the video and tell me where I'm wrong. Or, prove me wrong. I love some drama. Follow me for more cloud chaos.